shortly before the 1988 consecrations that got him in so much trouble with Rome, he was told he had to sign a document of fidelity to the Second Vatican Council, which is a very strange thing to have to do to a man who was at the Second Vatican Council and signed most of the documents, maybe all, maybe I'm not sure if all, but most of the documents, he was right there at the Second Vatican Council. So what happens between the close of the council in 1965 and 1988, up to 1988, what happened in that time that now the Vatican is saying to him, you must sign an oath of fidelity to the Second Vatican Council? I would argue that what he was encountering was the spirit of Vatican II. It wasn't even the council itself. They were trying to force him to have a ground zero, a starting point. The church, you must acknowledge this church starts in 1965 moving forward. Everything that came before, we can set aside. So I would say that that's an example of something that they were asking of the Archbishop. You must sign this decree. And we ourselves to this day are asked the same thing, or told the same thing. You must accept Vatican II. And I would ask you, what is it in Vatican II that's new, that's doctrinal, and that we must affirm in peril of our soul that Vatican II taught? Can anybody think of anything? Is there some new dogma in Vatican II that's not in the creed that we must sign on to in order to be saved? Of course not. So what are they talking about? There's nothing in Vatican II that I must swear an oath to affirm. So they're talking about things like collegiality and dialogue and all of these ecumenical outreach, which don't have an end, actually. They're just constantly going to be dialoguing and accompanying us as the faith is watered down throughout the world. So I would say that Archbishop Lefebvre recognized immediately that they were using the council at which he was a part, in which he took part as a council father, to create a spirit to take the church in a different direction. So he was, of all people, absolutely within his rights as a council father to say, no, you will not take Vatican II in that direction. I object. And what do you think, I'll close on this, what do you think happens then, a few years later, in 2013, February 14th, Pope Benedict XVI's last address to the Roman Curia, he talks about Vatican II. This is one of the most important things His Holiness said, and nobody wants to talk about it. He said there were two councils. He said there was the council that we wanted, and then there was the council, what he calls the Council of the Media. And he says, this is the only council the world ever got to see. You got that? This is the only council that you know. And he said, this Council of the Media, you can look this up, this council, this Vatican II, was responsible for the closing of so many monasteries, closing of so many seminaries, trivializing the Roman Rite, destroying the faith. This is what the Holy Father said about that council, the only one we ever got to see. So I think this is a little thing that we can all use. Archbishop Lefebvre obviously used it, so can we. When they say, do you swear fidelity to Vatican II? We can say which one. Because Benedict XVI said there were two, and I reject the Council of the Media, just as Archbishop Lefebvre rejected that phony and fake council, which is all about the spirit of council, not the 16 documents.